Good evening. Thought it was good to come on today and discuss a few financial things because a certain accountant on the channel, our in-house stock person and interpreter of the divine wishes of the economy, has given me some more content for which to do a video. I was waiting for this for quite a while actually, for the Games Workshop accounts to come out, but because I'm not an accountant myself, or I'm not even in the financial sector, I don't usually look around for these things, but I thought this one was particularly interesting when it was shown to me. So GW have just announced their profits report for most of 2021. And I think it makes for very, very interesting reading. Now, before we get into that, just want to say thank you for watching the channel. If you like what I do, subscribe and, watch the videos. And if you really like what I do, become a member of the channel if you want to do that. Patreon is down below as well. If you feel like buying me a pint, please only ever give what you can afford. Normally my go-to is, if you can afford to give it to me 10 times, then you can afford it. That's what I normally do. If I want to sub to a channel, and I am sub to a few, in terms of being a member, or giving somebody money on Patreon, if I can afford to give them that same amount 10 times without suffering, then I give them that amount, basically. Can't afford to do that, then don't do it. Right? Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for your support, guys, and let's look at some financial stuff so I can bore you to death. Right. So, a few very interesting points I wanted to make about the GW, the actual news that just came out today. 2020 was a huge year for Games Workshop. I think we all know that. 2020 was a fantastic year for Games Workshop, mainly because we were all in our homes, we were all buying models, we were never leaving their house, and essentially Games Workshop had what I like to call a captive audience. They had reams and reams of people there begging to do something with their time, which is something that is a dream come true for a company like Games Workshop, right? They loved the fact that they were able to get people to bring up their free time. Not only were people in 2020 laid off of work for a long period, most of them were still getting paid at least some money. So it was the perfect storm for Games Workshop's nuclear growth in 2020. They had a captive audience at home, not moving. Most of us, let's be honest, most Games Workshop people, we tend to work in really geeky jobs. They're going to make sure that we're okay during the lockdown, or at least we're paid a little bit during the lockdown, right? Most of us are quite responsible with money, so we were always going to have a little bit of extra to bounce onto Games Workshop. So it was the perfect storm for them. They were able to have an entirely captive audience sitting at home, begging them to release new models, and they capitalised on that, and they made huge profits in 2020. That leads into a few things. And the main headline of this that I wanted to point out is that financial sectors or financial markets tend to, from what I've been told, if you have a really good year, if you're a YouTuber, you will get this as well, because YouTube does this to me all the time. If you have a really good year, or at least, or even a really good month, they'll say, right, so next month you should grow again, and again, and again, and it should get higher and higher and higher and higher, right? It's sheer panic for me even when I look at my YouTube channel, and I did loads over December, over all the way up to December. I'm making about the same amount of money, decent, not like it's like pocket money basically, And then in December it shoots up, which I really needed because it's Christmas. It shoots up a little bit, and then now all of a sudden in January it's starting to come back down again and even out again. That's exactly what's happening with Games Workshop as well. 2020 was their Christmas, was their Northern Exiles Christmas, right? They had this huge year, and so the market is saying, well, you had that huge year, so you should have another huge year coming up. You should be making more and more and more money, right? That hasn't quite happened. If you look at especially if you look at the financials up here, that hasn't quite happened. I'm not going to take you through this page by page because I don't want to literally cause you to jump out the window in boredom. But what we are seeing here is a stabilization of Games Workshop. We're not seeing them drop off, and we're not seeing them have this amazing year either. Huge growth was expected, but it didn't happen. right? Games Workshop's holding steady. From what I've been able to read, Games Workshop is just holding steady. Now, there are a few things that have been lost throughout this piece of paper. So let's have a look down here. The first half highlights. So one thing that we can see is that pay has risen company-wide, which I think is a really, really good sign. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant by Games Workshop. It looks like pay has been increased company-wide. I would really hope that a lot of that is spent on retail workers, because a lot of these retail workers would have been laid off work on furlough, not on a lot of money from Games Workshop in the first place. So I really hope that they were given a bit of a bunce when they came back into the hobby and they're now running stores full-time again. I have a funny feeling it's not that. I have a funny feeling that a lot of it has gone on other parts of the business, and I'll show you why in a minute. But retail is on its way back after lockdown, which is to be expected, because lockdown, obviously, the retail, as we saw in the last time I did a video like this, retail tanked quite a lot in 2020, because hardly any stores are open. So retail business isn't doing very well. And mail order business doing a lot of money. But retail business, not that much. Now, it's starting to claw its way back, is what we can see. Alright. So, I'm gonna make a really big point at the end of this video, which I'm going to stick around for a little bit, because it's to do with 3D printing, which I think is really, really interesting. But GW at the moment is only spending $6.5 million on staff and IP design and maintenance. That represents a huge profit. A huge profit. You know, that's what I mean when I say the sun isn't always shining. You know what I mean? And we look at all these fabulous numbers of revenue and profit and things like that. Look at the revenue up there, 191.5 million, right? And in straight profit, that's going to be an incredible amount. You've got operating profit pre-royalties receivable, 68.4 million. That's pre-royalties they're getting there. That's incredible stuff. They're doing incredible numbers. And this is and as you can see, that is a drop on 2020, as to be expected, right? To be expected. But when we see the operating profit, you know, we're getting down to, not so much, let me just highlight this here. See if we get this right. Yeah, operating profit, 88.5 million. Obviously, this is going to be going up and down with taxation and other expenses as well. That's not really the final profit. But if you can subtract, you know, 10 to 15 million from that, you're getting around about what the profit the Games Workshop are making. We're paying staff at the moment, paying staff at the moment 5.6 million in wages and on IP design and maintenance. IP design and maintenance is essentially people in the studio and people who are, you know, pushing new ideas in the IP and getting it out there and doing artwork and things like that. When you think of the real powerhouse of Games Workshop as a company, it's all tied up in that 5.6 million. Because that 5.6 million represents the design and maintenance of the actual IP, right? And this is all linked in the description below, so please, you know, go and look at it yourself. As I said, I'm not going to scroll through it because I'm going to be here all night. That 5.6 million represents the people who are making Warhammer. They're making the games, they're making the art, they're writing the rules, they're writing the lore, they're doing all of these things that suck you into the hobby. And then we have on top of that wages of, let's say, the retail staff. These are people who are pushing the hobby. They're getting more people recruited into the hobby. They're making sure that you have people to play in 5, 10, 15 years, so the hobby doesn't just die away. So when you think about that, in real terms, in real spending, I'm not talking about rent, I'm not talking about, you know, materials, I'm not talking about taxes, I mean in real spending, the money Games Workshop are putting in is around £5.6 million, right? That's to get the people to go out and hook people into the hobby. And on top of that, I'm sure you can see that, you know, 70 to 80 million is a lot more than 5.6, you know what I mean? They're making a lot of money. That is profit in capital letters that they are making at this point in time. And they deserve to. You know, GW has amazing IPs and a lot of amazing people work for the company. I just really wish that people who are on the front line of getting people hooked into the hobby were given their day in the sun financially. At Games Workshop, you shouldn't be on. If you're working in retail at Games Workshop, you shouldn't be on the same money that you're in when you're working in Marks and Spencers. Right? You just shouldn't be. You should be on more than that because you're worth more to the company than somebody working in Marks and Spencers is worth to them. You just are. Somebody in Marks and Spencers isn't recruiting someone to come and shop at Marks and Spencers for the rest of their life, are they? If you work for Games Workshop, you're literally on the front line recruiting people to work, to come in and buy Games Workshop products for the rest of their lives, because you never get out. You never get out. Ask any hobbyist, you never get out, right? So, the other thing I wanted to cover, before we go into royalties, I wanted to go to page 5 and 6. Because page 5 and 6 covers the community, and this is their key priorities. This is Games Workshop's key priorities in looking over what they want to do for the next couple of years in terms of you. If you're watching this video, this is aimed at you. This is what they're doing, right? So let's read over this together, shall we? This is the boring bit, but bear with me. So their key priorities in terms of the customer and the community. Let's have a look. We have made some good progress with our key priorities. Each of these is designed to ensure we deliver our exciting operational plan and continue to engage and inspire our loyal customers. Alright, cool. Customer focused, okay. The Age of Sigmar launch in July was our best fantasy launch to date by a considerable margin. This saw us unveil the next chapter of the struggle for the Mortal Realms alongside some fantastic new miniatures. This is the Dominion box set. We spearheaded the launch with a high-end animated trailer showcasing the Mortal Realms like never before. This was viewed 28 million times in the period. Sales following the launch have been strong as this relative newcomer to our offer, it was launched in 2015, continues to grow in popularity. Okay. So essentially what they're saying there is Age of Sigmar is doing really well. But they are comparing this, remember that the language here, they are comparing Age of Sigmar to old school Warhammer, right? So old school Warhammer back in the day had been neglected for years as the sick stepchild of Games Workshop. It wasn't easy to get into. It was almost a specialist game by the end of it, right? So them saying that it was their best launch is I take that with a pinch of salt, to be honest with you. Age of Sigmar has had a while to grow brand popularity by now. And so you're now going to see, obviously, an upsurge in sales. And by the way, the Dominion box set was a fucking banger as well. That was a sensational box set. So, credit to Games Workshop for that. Right, so, now on to 40k. Following last year's relaunch, we have been revisiting some of our much-loved factions from our Warhammer 40,000 universe with Adeptus Sororitas, that's just as a battle, Space Marines, did they really need a revisiting, Orcs and Astra Militarum. It's called Imperial Guard, guess it right, all receiving new models in the period. The new version of Kill Team, our fast-paced skirmish game set in the 40k universe, was well received by hobbyists, proving its long-term place in our offer. Pretty much okay, cool. We celebrated this with a high-end animated battle sequence, which quickly became our most immediately watched piece of content ever, with almost 6 million views within the first 14 days. So, what we're seeing there is that the Warhammer 40,000 is doing well. Go figure. The Imperium part work, aimed at those new or returning to the 40k hobby, was relaunched in UK newsstands in August. Sales have been ahead of expectations, and launches in other countries are scheduled for the new calendar year. We have to remain sceptical of is that all companies will give very big glowing references to their own work in these reports. Sometimes you need to dig a little bit deeper though. And I like to dig a little bit deeper on the part of Imperium there. It shows where the Games Workshop priorities are. It says it right there, key priorities, Imperium. Key priorities, Imperium. That's where the priorities of Games Workshop are. You may be getting new Eldar models, but do not expect anyone to supplant the place of the Imperium anytime soon. You can see that they are aiming this Imperium part work on new and returning people to the 40k hobby. And and that shows us where their focuses are. We have also been producing our core product in Mandarin for years, using translation agencies. In this period, we moved all translation in-house to improve consistency and quality of our offer in this key market. So, obviously pushing China. Games Workshop know how much money China is worth. I take Chinese involvement with a pinch of salt, considering you have to bend over backwards to please them and make sure that your content doesn't offend in any way. And there are many ways in which you can offend the Chinese government. You know, honestly, like if my writing ever goes anywhere, hoping it will do, like we're on the path. I would be very skeptical about, someone saying, "Oh, well, let's go do this in China." Well, how much are you going to cut out? How much are you going to change? How much will they find offensive in this? Because I don't want it changed, Just leave it as it is. Anyway, although suffering from disruptions in global shipping, there was a steady flow of new miniatures for our other intellectual properties, IPs. Blood Bowl, Necromunda. Has there been really, though? As we continue to provide customers with ever more depth and choice. I don't know about Blood Bowl, Necromunda. I think that's a bit of bullshit, to be honest with you. I play Blood Bowl, and I love Necromunda. I'm starting to try and get back into it. But I play a dwarf team in Blood Bowl, the Iron Cage. Have a bit of that. And I've not seen many. I think one or two, maybe. And if that's what they mean, then fine. But say it then. Don't say you've given a steady flow of new miniatures. No, you haven't. Complete bullshit. Right. Our epic Horus Heresy novel series is drawing close to its galaxy-changing conclusion. Currently standing at over 7.5 million words, we aren't aware of a more detailed and in-depth story in any fantasy or science fiction IP. Yes, but there is also no other series in science fiction or fantasy with as much filler as Horus Heresy has. Horus Heresy could have been done in 10 to 15 books, easy, or 20 to 22. If you really wanted to do one for each Legion and then two for the Siege of Terror, fine. But yeah, we didn't have to be approaching 50, 60 books. IP and design studio payroll costs increased by 0.8 million to 5.6 million. As a percentage of sales, they have increased by 0.4 to 2.9%. So there we go. There's the 5.6 million I was talking about before. So 5.6 million is the overall payroll of the studio. Okay, and IP and design. So factoring into that as well, we're looking at retail as well. 5.6 million. And then we look back at some of the numbers up here. I mean, before tax, obviously, but come on. Let's give people more money, please. Community. Supporting these new miniatures, we have continued to put out tens of thousands of pieces of content across WarhammerCommunity.com and social channels. As a result, we've more Warhammer fans than ever before. On social, despite ever more restrictive algorithms from the big players, so looking at YouTube, basically, and others, please keep paying me, YouTube, we're receiving more people compared to the same period last year. Our WarhammerCommunity.com users are up 15% across all territories. Even more encouraging, our email marketing is up across all metrics: subscribers, opens, clicks, revenue, all telling us that we continue to grow and regain an engaged customer base. So, I wonder if they're going to mention Warhammer Plus. I think I've seen the word Warhammer Plus, but it's going to be very, very interesting to read. Within the period, we launched a range of new initiatives to ensure customer experiences of the Warhammer hobby is better than ever. Okay. With something for every Warhammer fan, our brand new subscription service, Warhammer Plus, got off to a great start. Lies. In particular, our animation and in-house shows have been extremely popular. Lies. We like the Starties. That's not in-house. Go fuck yourself. With 2 million views in total across all shows within just 3 months. That's nothing. 3 months. 2 million views in 3 months. Guys, I know YouTube channels that do that in a single video in a couple of weeks. Your Games Workshop. 2 million views in total across all your shows on Warhammer Plus in 3 months. We view Warhammer Plus as a club for our most loyal fans. Oh, here we go. So here we go with the false rarity, right? Remember? False rarity. We view Warhammer Plus as a club for our most loyal fans and look to extend the ways in which we deliver them even more exclusive content and reward them with exciting new products and service offers. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, right, well, this here is corporate doublespeak, right? It is absolute corporate doublespeak. Spinning negative numbers positively is what we're looking at here. Warhammer Plus is not good, and people are leaving it in droves before we go anywhere. And so they should. So they should. GW should back the hell off of people like Brother Alpha Booster and let them make their work. The work that is better than anything Games Workshop has ever produced in terms of their video property, right? Don't even at me on that one. Right. With our operations not at full speed and to ensure our customers never missed the Warhammer releases they really wanted, we introduced pre-order promise, guaranteeing every fan the chance to purchase the latest releases without fear of missing out. They even mention it, fear of missing out. FOMO. The brazenness. The brazenness of these guys sometimes. Okay, cool. Alright, fine. At least they're self-aware. This is especially important for a hobby where collectability lies at the heart of the experience. As we get back to normal operations, this will be pragmatically reviewed. Okay, cool. During lockdown, many of our customers missed getting together all dice. As restrictions have eased and the world tentatively returns to normal, the Warhammer events team went on the road in the US. The efforts in kickstarting a return to in-person events has been a rousing success, with each of our roadshow events selling out almost instantly. With live in-game coverage broadcast to hundreds of thousands of viewers worldwide. We look forward to furthering our events program next year. That's a really good thing. That is a really good thing. We've gone from really negative to really positive straight away. I love that. Yeah, we should be doing more events. Events should be at the heart of everything Games Workshop do, essentially. You know, I honestly love that they're pushing that. That's good. That's good. Excellent. So, key priorities continued. Community continued. Our customers really enjoy user-generated content. No fucking shit. No fucking shit. Right. What have you got to say for yourselves? I feel like a headmaster at the head of a table. What have you got to say for yourselves? Come on. Our customers really enjoy user-generated content, and as such, we are committed to supporting fans as they create their own Warhammer-related events, videos, articles, podcasts. Fuck off. No, you are not. You're the opposite of this. To this end, we are in the process of creating a community outreach team to go work with and support creators and prominent community members who champion the Warhammer community outside of our own pages and spaces. Right. Okay. Now, here's what I think on this. This is a cherry picking by Games Workshop. We like this person, they're nice to us. We don't like this person, they're not nice to us. We like this person, they're nice to us. We don't like this person, they're not nice to us. So I don't think somebody like Brother Alpha Booster, and my favourite Warhammer, person on YouTube. No offence, Outer Circle and, Lore Master of Sotek and all those wonderful people, but I don't think this is for him or them. I honestly don't. I honestly think that they will look at something like Emperor has a text-to-speech device as problematic, quote unquote, because of some of the words that are used and some of the things that are said in that show. So I don't think I'm not going to get excited by this because it just to me it just screams of we want benign, average, normal people to be involved in. Like, normal, benign, average, not controversial, vanilla wafer content, and we'll support that if you champion our cause. If essentially you agree to sign this NDA that basically makes you an unofficial Games Workshop mouthpiece that isn't even paid, then yes, you can be a part of this community outreach team. Right? I'm very skeptical about this. If they turn up that things are going well, then fine, but I'm very, very skeptical about this. So, I could go on about employees here, but we're running way too far along in terms of the video. So back to my final point, and that is royalties. If you look at this, it'll be in the description below. If you look at this, royalties, it seems like Games Workshop are moving to a more royalties-based model of business. Hell of a good news for 3D printing. Because you don't get royalties from 3D printers, right? So as Games Workshop move to a more royalties-based model, I think this is them seeing the oncoming surge of 3D printing and how much is going to be able to just supplant them within the next 10 to 15 years. I think they're getting ahead of the curve here and moving to a more royalties-based model. I think they're seeing the rise of 3D printing and they're backing off substantially from that, from the here are our models, we make the best models, do all this. I think they're actually moving to have 3D printing partners. This isn't just me. I think they're moving towards having 3D printing partners, where they can mass produce all of their content. And lo and behold, you never know. This could be in news with a price drop as well. But I'm not going to say that, because as soon as Games Workshop becomes more scarce, they even mentioned FOMO themselves. As soon as it becomes their models become less scarce, I can only imagine certain decisions will have to be made, and I think that's why they're moving towards a more royalties-based business model. But anyway, those are the accounts for this part of the year. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe and all that rubbish. And all of the accounts are down below. Go and have a look at them. Sorry if I was shouting a bit there, but they really do piss me off with how blind they are sometimes with their own behaviour. It really annoys me. So, thank you very, very, very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time. Have a good one.